Welcome to WebWings. I'm Alex. Andy's here as well. We're with you again for a nuts and bolts breakdown of the world of e-commerce and how your business fits in. Today's episode, we're going to talk about my favorite topic, the idea of personality in business. But first, Andy, episode 5.
Episode 5.
We've done well.
We've done a thing.
We've done a thing, and people have been listening, and for that
People
we are very
have
thankful.
listened. We are really grateful.
Thankful. We've had feedback, we've had comments, we've had occasional people get in touch about unrelated things, but
Yep.
Hopefully, even if you haven't listened at the time it's come out, if this is 5 years in the future and we're all living on Mars, hopefully we're still relevant in some way.
Yeah, we'll be relevant on Mars. You'll need e-commerce on Mars, surely.
Of course you will.
There'll be Amazon drones everywhere.
Yeah, something like that. So now we're on to the less technical, and we're going to touch on the more nuanced, the feel and impression of a business.
Well, we're going to talk about personality, which, like you said, is probably both of our favourite topic. So this is much more different from selling a product in the way that we discussed it last week and the week before. That's the marketing and analysis of who you're selling to, why you're selling, and how you sell it. What this is can perhaps better be described to be not so much of a pitch, but just how you position yourself.
Yeah. So what I have been talking to people about for years, for so very long, and anyone who's ever worked with me in e-commerce in any vein will tell you that I am entirely convinced that this is the secret sauce that will take a business from being really quite lackluster to something exciting and inviting to customers.
Yeah, so like this sort of the secret recipe.
Yes, like your favorite kebab shop's garlic mayo.
Yes, well, maybe not, but so this is it defines the difference between two identical stores selling the same products with the same marketing budget and the same outlook, but getting totally different results. The frustrating side of looking at the competition and screaming, what are they doing that I'm not?
What we're going to delve into is the thing that I have always called why your marketing was better when you knew nothing.
I still know nothing.
But your marketing's still good, so that's fine.
Exactly.
It's the whole idea of a business doing really well for the first amount of months, years, maybe, and then all of a sudden you plateau, you stagnate, you're riding on a big tidal wave of success, and then you're probably staring at a load of investment and hours to be barely scraping by, frustrated.
Yeah. Businesses will put that down to them having exhausted their immediate circle of customers. It might be friends or whoever they were marketing and what they were getting out of that. But it's so very rarely the case that it was just those elements that made your initial success what it was.
And even if it was, there's a reason those people bought from you anyway, right?
Yeah, of course. Although we would always recommend that you never rely on friends to build a business. There's no reason that these people shouldn't be some of your biggest champions. And this is not a multi-level marketing scheme, #BossBitch.
No. The reason that I will harp on about it being why your marketing was better when you knew nothing is because when you're in that initial stage and you're starting a business, you've got a new venture, you know what you're selling, whether it's a product or a service or however it is, you've got that enthusiasm, but you're not yet blinkered by all of the business stuff. Even if you started 5-10 businesses and they've been successful and you've sold them, or if this is your first one, you will still go through that phase of the new business and you're really enthused and excited about what it is that you've got to bring to market. The problem is that there will be limitations later on that you impose on yourself. It's inevitable unless you structure this in some way, either from the start or now later on. But the amount of times I've had clients come up to me and they'll give the same story, and this is something I like to tell people when they ask me about the industry. It's the thing I normally go to. The amount of people who come up to me and say, do you know, I did really well when I first started. and it was going really well. And we had a website, or we were selling on this platform and that platform, and we were getting loads of customers, and everything was looking really, really positive. And I put all this investment in it, and why are my sales worse after I've put all this effort in? And what I'll generally do as a little bit of an inspiration, you can try this on your own business. It's interesting if you're in a position to do so, try on your own business. But you can either go on Wayback Machine online to see old versions of a website, or if you go on social media and find an old post, and I'll show people, I'll say, look, this is what you did when you first started. These are the posts that you put out. This is how you wrote and spoke about your products and your business. And almost without fail, it will be there. It'll be quite, I don't want to say unprofessional because they'll put everything into it, but it won't be as rigid. It won't be as structured. It won't follow the same structure that they're putting everything into at this point. It might still be professional, but it's probably going to be more personable. And you say, look at that. If you put that out today, people might respond to that better. Why don't you try that? And they'll inevitably say, well, I can't do that. That's how I did it when we started. That's not professional. That's not me. That's not the business now. But it's showing people that what they were doing before was full of passion and personality.
Yeah, and that's the pit that a lot of people fall into. You get to a point in business where you feel like things which weren't perfect earlier on were actually mistakes, and actually, realistically, they were elements that made you stand out from the rest of the companies out there.
Yeah.
A good example is the basic business, the good old-fashioned market stall. You might walk past 5 different stalls selling the exact same products. Think fruit and veg as an example. All set out the same, looking nice, but you are more likely to go to the one that gives you the best feeling. The louder market trader, shouting about his wares, giving people samples, might do well for some customers, but not for others. And the difference is recognizing that impact. None of those are a one-size-fits-all, which is exactly why 5 market stalls selling the same stuff can actually survive on the same street.
That's it. That's the crux of the issue. That is highlighting the whole problem. It's the point at which a business thinks it's becoming professional, a business that will try and make itself look exactly the same as all of the others out there. And what you're doing is you alienate your customers. Most startup businesses that have got that initial kick, they've got an established customer base. They've got a set of products that sell well. And then they will go and try and branch out and end up with less sales, less impact, lower engagement, because what you thought you were doing and just muddling through and sitting down and writing whatever was coming into your head, well, that's not professional. But which result gets you the sales? Is it that one, or is it the one that where you just copy and paste whatever it is that your supplier sends you through?
Yeah, exactly. And thinking back to how the fact that people can survive multiple businesses in the same location, look at delivery firms, which we've talked about a few times.
Yeah.
How many different delivery firms are there? I mean, I can think of at least 5 without even starting to count.
Yeah.
And they all survive. They're all busy. They are on every street every day, but they don't deliver the same stuff and they don't have the same customers. So there's always a demand for different ways of doing things. I thought that was a valid way of putting that out there. Anyway, let's go back to my notes. So you don't have to be scared either about what you're doing. It isn't a case of being loud, shouty, or a brand that swears and posts crazy TikTok videos of your products or services. It's just about not being rigid and bland, and something that nobody's therefore interested in.
Yeah, like you said with the social media post there, and that's another trap that people will fall into quite quickly, is you can scroll through someone's social media feed and a business's social media feed, and by the point it gets to them being quite consistent in product releases and really on top of every Monday they release a new product, or however often they might do a sale, and they get the brand theming and they think they're looking really professional. Their feed all looks the same, but they're just posting the same thing. They'll just be the same picture with the same frame that either has been created for them by a designer, or they've done it in Canva or Photoshop or whatever, and it just says in the middle, our new product, 20% off if you buy it this Tuesday, whatever. And it's just an endless, dreary feed. It's no longer the reality that people used to see, and you need to again inject that personality into it, because you can't just have the same thing over and over again. That being boring, just being boilerplate, looking the same again and again. You think you've got that. You think you've got the personality in the brand. And you think, well, of course I've got a personality. Of course I've got a brand, because all my stuff looks the same. It does, yeah. That's why people have stopped looking at it. Personality is not the same as uniformity, and I think that's probably worth saying. And there are some brands that do get that right.
There are some really, really good examples of getting it right and wrong. Ryanair, for example, they had a really bad reputation a few years ago. Now they embrace the feel and service that people expect, and their customers love it. I think I've mentioned before how I love their social media. They're not afraid. Yeah, they're not afraid to take the mick out of themselves or anybody else. Aldi is another example. More than happy to take a swipe at themselves at the same time as taking a swipe at the big boys. I mean, look at the whole Cuthbert incident.
Yes, the Caterpillar.
And even now that they've solved the Caterpillar issues with Marks and Spencers, they now just take the mick out of themselves all the time.
Yeah, it's become that kind of thing, and it's a really good reference there, isn't it? Of just, you don't have to be what is typically professional to be seen as professional.
No, you don't. Absolutely not. It's part of the. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just it's how people will perceive you is very much the rest of it. You don't have to worry about necessarily just the one element breaking it down. So if you show that fun side in how you word things, it doesn't mean that people are going to immediately see you as a less professional entity if it's relatable.
No, I agree entirely. There's a person I meet up with quite regular. Her business website, one of the first things that it says on it is that she's quite common at swearing, but that she likes nothing more than sitting and having a kebab at night. And it's like just that little bit of personality to something. I think it's everything. It's part of the fun and the experience of dealing with companies. It's about being human and showing that human side without the worry about how it's perceived. And human is very much the buzzword there, and it's very important.
Definitely, because that's it, isn't it? But personality is one thing, but the human element is what makes a personality relatable and takes it away from being the dreary boilerplate, repeat it over and over again. That is our brand, that is our personality, bang bang bang. It's not. It's the human element, and humans make mistakes. Humans do things differently depending on the time of day. Even, you might have a slightly different tone and feel depending on if it's a Monday morning as to if it's a Friday afternoon. And that's, in some ways, relating better to your customers than just sticking out the same thing.
Yep. And like I say, human is very much the word. And there are some businesses that try, but get it really, really wrong.
Yes.
I think of the craze that went through a while back. Utility companies, for example, or other big entities, they got their staff to use their name or a short version of their name or their initials or something like that on the end of every single post that they made on social media. But that it doesn't mean anything. I don't care if I'm talking to me or to Dave or Alex or whoever. I want to know that they're dealing with my problem or my comment.
Yeah.
But the name on the end of it makes no difference. It's almost like they're just playing a little bit of lip service and expecting it to swing the right way.
Yeah, and it doesn't. That's a really good example of times that brands, businesses have tried to be a personality, have tried to be human and failed miserably, because it doesn't work, because the business behind it doesn't have the personality or the human element. You can't just stick it on the end and have it in one element, because immediately, as soon as people make that contact, as soon as people realize that it is purely superficial, you come across so much worse. The utility companies putting out 15 posts a day on Twitter, as an example. Every single one of them's got a different name on it. Someone replies and says, "Hey, Greg, I've got a problem. Can you deal with this for me?" And then you get, "Hey, Barry, I'm Greg from customer services. Sure, please ring this number." And it's just a standard customer services number. And you know, what was the point of that?
I want to talk to you.
Yeah, you're Greg. You were talking to me. You were reaching out, and yet as soon as we try and have that element that would have maintained the human connection, it just disappears. You can't just write it. You may as well have had nothing. And it's about the fact that the people are the business, the stuff and the way things are done. Even if your business is just one person, it's how it's done. It's how you handle your business. And as this business, we do our best to make sure that you love it. And that's the person element. And that's why you allow people that work in or on your business to have their own take on things. You can't have everybody running free if you've got a brand to uphold, but there's nothing wrong with people being allowed to use their names and whatever else. It's what businesses sometimes get wrong or don't understand is you're psychologically upping the confidence in the sale. As soon as you attach someone's name to it, it raises the expectation that the service that follows is going to be as free-flowing as the conversational tone that you put out in the first place.
Yeah.
There's real people there. And that's, again, when we go back to the example of the utilities company. As soon as that connection was made, you get shut down because that person doesn't really exist as something you can communicate with in the business, other than the fact that they post social media stuff. And when you get it right, you feel that the business has real people behind it. And that means to a customer, to a client, to a prospective person wanting to shove money their way, accessibility, accountability, and communication.
Yeah. And we're not just talking about product descriptions or social media posts either. Once you've got that tone right, the business needs to follow it through everywhere. It's part of conversation. It's your personality. So make sure it's there on your checkout page, in your emails, and any other communication, even the packaging, if you can. Anywhere you get the chance for your customers to see it needs to be quite obviously your business.
Yeah, and it follows through. There's businesses that I've worked with that ever since they were small, people scrabbling around to try and get orders, and they'd do anything that they could to get an order and keep people coming back. There was a business I work with that sells hi-fi equipment, and they used to sell this equipment pretty low margins, but quite high ticket price. It's not a cheap item. You're talking a few £100. And what they'd do is they'd throw a little bag of Haribo in with every single order. And other businesses do this. I know they do, but other businesses do this. And this hi-fi company, they grew and they did really well, and they kept their customers. And if they ever forgot that bag of Haribo, they get people coming through and complaining. Yeah. Because it gets to the point where that is part of it. And, you get your people working in your warehouse. You got a big warehouse now. And they'll be like, oh, it doesn't matter. They've just spent 500 quid on a hi-fi. They're not going to worry about if they didn't get the Haribo. Well, they will. Because it's an unwritten rule and it's expected. Someone who's spending £500 on a new bit of hi-fi kit, they can go out and they can spend 5p on a bag of sweets. It's not about the money or the value that you're giving. It's I like this company, and I open it up and I should be really staring at the fact that I've just got this new bit of equipment, but sweeties, I've got a bag of sweeties.
Yeah, but what out of those two things, what would you go and post on social media? Yes, I've got a brand new hi-fi, or I've got a bag of sweets for free by buying it.
Yeah, and there was another one who did a very similar thing. I think it was stickers that they sent out. It was just little sticker, and it became a little bit of a social media thing. And we're getting more into the elements of other tactics of marketing here, but I think it follows through quite well.
It does.
And they give out a sticker with everything, and you'd go on social media and follow relevant hashtags around the products and the community that it was part of. And you see people posting the pictures of the stickers. They wouldn't post the picture of the product. They'd be like, new sticker day, you know what that means?
Yeah.
That means, you've just gone and spent 400 quid on a load of tap, but brilliant. You know, you're really pleased with it. You love it. You're so hyped up about this company, and you want people to know that you've bought your stuff from that company as opposed to the competitors. And that getting that sticker reinforces the fact that you're getting a good service. You know you're getting a good price. You know that they've got what you want. And it's just following all that through. And going back to your point about how we follow that through in the website or whatever it is, there's nothing more disappointing. Or perhaps not nothing, but it's really disappointing when you're going through ordering something from a company and you get through to the checkout and then you get to the payment processor at the end or whatever, and this lovely experience that you followed through, that some wonderful designer has spent hours, days, and months trying to bash out with you, and then the payment processor just turns it into a white, ugly page that looks like something that came out of 2003.
Yeah. There's moments there where you think, am I still in the right place?
Am I still in the right place? Is this really the company? Okay, I might be in the right place, but have I clicked the wrong button? Because this isn't how it looked a minute ago. Or is it just actually, is the whole front end just a front for a massive entity? And, I'm not actually getting that interaction that I wanted. If you don't know the company, it can be a big, oh, hang on, what I thought I was buying from a nice, friendly, small company, and now I'm staring at this. It can feel a really dead fish of corporate blurb hitting you in the face.
Yeah, it definitely can. One of the biggest gripes that people have about checkout experiences is when transactions go all clinical. If you're losing a lot of people with abandoned carts, then double check what your payment provider makes that bit of the transaction look like. There's no point spending hours and weeks perfecting your site and the phrase we don't like, the customer journey.
Customer journey, customer experience.
Yeah.
But it highlighted perfectly here.
Yep. There's no point spending all that time perfecting it, only to have your payment provider strip everything out, turn the last step into a dull corporate wasteland. It's almost guaranteed you're going to lose some customers along the way.
Yeah.
There might be nothing you can do about it. And if so, then you perhaps need to consider if that is the best payment provider solution for you. There's a lot to be said about working with businesses that complement your business as opposed to those that you feel like you've got to work with. There are lots of payment providers out there.
Yeah,
many of which will allow you to customize.
Yes, and we went through it a few episodes ago, and you don't want to be adding layers onto your onto all of the fees that you've got to pay, but where there's the option to just check what you're working with, the visual element. Some people will, quite rightly, with a good developer, spend hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of pounds on a new website.
Or the prices are available.
Yeah, exactly. All those prices are available. But then they say, oh, well, I'm working with this bank. We've had it since 1997.
Yeah.
They're really good. Yeah, it looks like you've had it since 1997 as well, because that bank hasn't updated their merchant interface for many, many years, and it looks terrible. And now we've got to work with that. And now your customers who have gone through this lovely thing where we've been working with your brand designer and looking at your brand Bible and your mood boards for months, and all of a sudden they click the pay now button and it's just horrible.
Yep.
It's depressing.
It is.
It is depressing. But that's, I really could, and everyone knows I could go on about this for many, many hours.
And you do.
And I do, and I love it as well, and everyone loves listening to me. Isn't that right, Andy?
Yep, always.
Yeah. But the personality of the business is what will make the difference. And you don't need to be scared of your personality, because it's what got you there in the first place.
Yeah.
It's what meant that when you started a business from a laptop on your kitchen table after the kids had gone to bed, or in the break at work, or even at college, at school, whatever you might be doing while you were starting your business, that time when you sat down and thought about, how do I do this? How do I write this kind of stuff? That's when the personality came into play. That's when it was at its most real. That's when, if you're at this point now, if you're looking back on it as the good times, that's when it worked.
Yeah.
You were better at marketing when you knew nothing.
You were.
So, good e-commerce enthusiasts of the world, we come to the end of this episode. And I really hope it is one that you think about, because it's the biggest differentiator. If you've got great service and products, the personality will allow people to respond to that. And above all, you managed it once before, so why not do it again? We will catch you next week. We've been WebWings, and we hope that you have a safe onward journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.